198 Premier League goals now. He's got to that record in 300 games, which is faster than Alan Shearer. He's broken that record as well. He still, though, splits opinions. I'm seeing a few sort of tweets and texts coming in. One has said this: is Harry Kane underrated? Do me a favour, guys. He's the most overrated striker of this generation. He's won nothing and bottled it on the biggest stage. His numbers are boosted by penalties scored. He makes every team he plays for worse. I think it's a bit of exaggeration. Hence why Spurs got to a Champions League final without him. Before we talk Spurs, and we will talk Spurs, I think we need to. Good win. Again, Antonio Conte under a little bit of pressure. What's both of your thoughts on Harry Kane, with the overrated, underrated argument?
No, look, I think as a player, he's not an electric player, so he's not going to light up games. But what he does do is that he is effective, and at key times in certain key games, he will pop up with goals. Obviously, you know, he had the penalty miss in the World Cup, which unfortunately in football, you're if you make a mistake like that or an error like that at that level, it's going to be highlighted and that's going to be focused upon. But when you look at those stats, when you look at those records, you know, I played in the Premier League and it's a very, very tough league. You're playing against the best players week in and week out, and to have achieved that goal scoring record in this generation, and for me, I think, as with everything, each generation improves. You know, you get better and better players as you progress, and the intensity of games increases because fitness goes up. You know, so you need to be fitter, you need to be stronger, you need to recover quicker. And so for what Harry Kane has done and been able to do in terms of maintaining that record, I still remember his breakthrough season when everyone said he was a one-season wonder. Do you remember that? Yeah. That was the shout, one-season wonder.
Ade was leading the calls, I think.
And he did it again, he did it again, he did it again. And actually...
He's not had that moment, though, has he?
He's not had that
moment. And look, to be fair, look, when he does play in those semi-finals and finals, and I'll appreciate that, Tottenham probably go into those games as underdogs, right? So he's behind. But he's not had that moment where he's won his club a big game, what they're not supposed to win. You think of Owen, FA Cup, Arsenal. Arsenal battering Liverpool. Owen decided, I'm going to win this by myself.
Yeah.
And he scored those fantastic 2 goals. Harry Kane's not had that moment. And look, I'm not going to take away from him.
How many trophies did Alan Shearer win?
Premier League, the biggest one.
But that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's the biggest one, though, isn't it? It's the biggest one. He's won the biggest one you can win. And he was instrumental in winning that big one, wasn't he?
But it's that discussion. So we're saying, we're going to base Harry Kane's legacy off of what he wins. So we're saying if Messi doesn't win the World Cup, does that make him an any worse player?
No.
I just asked a question.
I think it's a brilliant point, because I think the reason that Harry Kane doesn't get the credit he deserves is because he doesn't win trophies. He hasn't scored goals in the major finals. But that's because he plays for Tottenham.
Oof. Wow.
Is that unfair? If Harry Kane played for Manchester City, he would be a multiple
no, of course.
Premier League winner. He might even be a Champions League winner.
I saw Vardy do the business for Leicester and win the league.
That was an absolute freak. You
Maybe
can't
so,
compare.
but then Leicester won the FA Cup a couple of seasons ago because the big players stood up. I'm asking for Harry Kane.
So you want him to win? Yeah, you want him to win
he's
something?
He's not playing for a mid-table side, by the way.
Tottenham, he is really.
Tottenham are a top 6 team. Tottenham are a top 16. Yeah. And he's had good players around him. And I'm like, do something in a big game. Do something in a semi-final or final. And how many semi-finals has he been in where he's not turned up?
I've got this question for you, though.
Alan Shearer lost 2 FA Cup finals, I think.
But we talk about the likes of, Premier League winners, etc. Let's take Aguero as an example. If Harry Kane was playing in front of Aguero for 8 years of his Premier League career, how many more goals? Sorry, not Aguero, Kevin De Bruyne. If Harry Kane was playing ahead of Kevin De Bruyne, so Kevin De Bruyne was feeding him, how many more goals does he get? Honestly, and how many titles does he win?
The same amount Aguero's got. So the same. I don't think it changes. I think the same amount that Aguero's got, because you're not going to, unless you're telling me that you think Harry Kane's a better striker than Aguero.
Debates. I look at
what do you think of Harry Kane? What's your view on it?
I think he's a good striker. Obviously, look, he's
Say what you said earlier.
I think he's a very good striker. I think his Premier League record is very, very good. I think we get excited about. I say excited, but there are Premier League strikers that I think would have scored the amount of goals he scored if they stayed in the Premier League.
In that Tottenham team.
maybe not in the top 10. I think Luis Suarez would have got that amount of goals if he stayed at Liverpool.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Ruud van Nistelrooy at Man United was a phenomenal finisher as well. And maybe if he stayed,
but look at the players he had around him. That was Manchester United in their pomp. Harry Kane's spent a lot of his career carrying this Spurs team on his own.
Yeah, maybe so. I saw a Matt Letizia carrying a Southampton team and get many goals on his own as well. We've seen it before. I mean, I think what Harry Kane's doing is fan. Is Harry Kane a top 5 Premier League striker for you?
Top 5, yeah.
All time.
Of all time.
Of all time. Would you say Harry Kane makes your top 5 Premier League strikers of all time?
Do you think he's a better striker than Andy Cole?
No.
Really?
Andy Cole, no penalties. No. If Andy Cole was, how many penalties has Harry Kane got? Andy Cole, no penalties.
He got 1 penalty. I think.
One penalty.
Yeah.
Is he a better striker than Ian Wright?
No, he's not.
Les Ferdinand?
Yes. Yeah, he is better than Les. I'd say I wouldn't have him over. Obviously, I wouldn't have him over Henry.
No, agreed.
I wouldn't have him over Aguero.
I'm not sure on that one.
The Aguero one. Moments.
Yeah, moments.
It's moments, and people might say it's only that one moment, but it's a moment, isn't it?
But you realise he's on course to become the record goal scorer in the Premier League.
That's partly down to longevity. I take Ade's point on that, but I also think,
which again, I guess is a good thing, isn't it?
A record's a record.
Thing. A record is a record.
Longevity is key in this as well. Like, you've got to give him his plaudits. I mean, the fact that he's been able to overcome early sort of ankle issues as well and fitness issues, the fact that it is longevity, I guess, deserves its plaudits as well.
I also think he's a better footballer than a lot of those players we mentioned. Ian Wright and Andy Cole didn't have the ability to drop into midfield like Wayne Rooney did at the end of his career. I think we're nearing the stage, and actually I advocated this at the World Cup. I thought Harry Kane should have played in midfield for England at the World Cup with Callum Wilson as the number 9. I think that is the natural progression because he is such a clever all-round footballer. I think a lot of the players we've talked about are literally penalty box strikers. Ruud van Nistelrooy, the classic example of that. I think he only ever scored 1 goal in the Premier League from outside the area.
But without penalties, 168. 168 goals Harry Kane has in the Premier League without
only 30 penalties.
So only 30. So, like,
fantastic.
He's not happy. Look at his face.
It's fantastic.
Ade's not happy.
Would you? We know when we have let's open it up a bit then. The world discussion, because obviously, and maybe it's because he's not winning anything, and so his name will never be discussed when it comes to like Ballon d'Or and him being sort of in FIFA Pro 11s. But where is he then? Sort of, how do they view him in the world? Do you think as one of the best strikers in the world? Because we constantly hear Benzema, we hear Lewandowski, we've heard Ronaldo and Messi for many years. You rarely hear Kane.
Well, Bayern Munich like him. If Tottenham are willing to sell him this summer, Bayern Munich will definitely be part of that conversation. I'd imagine you could say the same for Barcelona.
Yeah, I think all those teams take him in a flash, and I think if you put him in that Bayern Munich team, he does what Lewandowski's doing. If you put him in a Barcelona team, I think it's a different style of play. He'll be in and around the box. He'll be effective with the ball at his feet. But I think the truth is that he hasn't won titles because he has had to stay loyal to Tottenham. You know, so he hasn't been able to move, and we all know he would have made that move if Tottenham would have let him go. He would have gone, and he would have won trophies in his career now.
It's weird how it's so split online. And by the way, I'm having a bit of dig at Kane. Kane's a fantastic finisher. We know that. Someone's coming in and says Kane doesn't turn up in the big games, Champions League final, World Cup.
He was injured for the Champions League final. He wasn't fit.
Well, he didn't turn up. He didn't turn up.
He should never have started that game. That was one of the mistakes that Mauricio Pochettino made.
Yeah.
Before we wrap, Kane or Rooney?
Rooney.
That came quick out your mouth, didn't it, that one?
That came quick. Yeah. Are we talking prime?
Yeah.
Prime. Yeah, Rooney. Yeah.
Rooney as well.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.